Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning. Before we begin, let us recite the Surah Al-Fatihah. I would like to wish a very warm welcome to everyone here, and especially to our expert speakers and to all IIUM researchers to the TRGS Breakthrough Discoveries, Innovative Creations, a workshop on winning proposals and presentations for TRANS-DISCIPLINARY Research Grant Scheme TRGS 2020. Firstly, let me introduce our first speaker. Okay. Professor Ratnawati Ashraf is a professor at the Kulliyyah of Education and is currently the director of the Research Management Center IIUM. Professor Ratnawati has had over 27 years of experience as an academic in the university. She is also actively involved in consultancy as lead consultant in more than 10 projects commissioned by the Malaysian Science and Technology Information Center, MASTIC, under the Ministry of Science and Technology. Lead consultant in the project R&D Innovation in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, a project awarded by the King Abdul Aziz City for Science and Technology, as well as projects involving the Ministry of Education Malaysia. Her professional training and research has been in the areas of teacher education, curriculum and instruction, second language learning and teaching, literacy, and the use of statistics in educational research. She has published books and articles in the fields of teacher education, second language teaching, and learning literacy and the use of statistics in educational research. In 2016, she was one of the program leaders who received the TRGS grant, and her program was entitled Profiling of High-Functioning Children with Learning Disabilities Using the Neuropsychological Framework for Differentiated Instruction. So, Professor Ratnawati, please give Prof. Ratna a round of applause. Okay. So, Prof, please welcome to deliver your talk. We will do a sharing your I will introduce Professor Dr. Shahrul later. Kan nak introduce sekarang?
Sekarang. It's very
Oh,
informal.
nak introduce sekarang. Okay, together. Alright. Okay, so we also have another speaker here. Our second speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Shahrul. He is a Ministry of Education expert evaluator and currently Associate Professor with the Department of Mechatronics Engineering, Faculty of Engineering. He is a senior member of IEE and received his BE and PhD degrees from the Vanderbilt University, USA in 1998 and 2008 respectively in electrical engineering. He was formerly the Research Management Center IIUM Deputy Dean who overlooks into the research-related policies in the university. Passionate about teaching, in 2012 he won the prestigious Best Teacher Award at the university level and another award at the Creativity and Innovation on E-Learning Content Delivery. He is actively engaged in research related to the design and development of electromechanical system and human-machine interface, in particular applied to robot-assisted rehabilitation platform. His specialization includes engineering and electronic engineering, robotics and mechatronics, modeling and control of non-holonomic mobile robot, agricultural engineering, mechanization in system, modeling and control of human-centered electromechanical systems, biomedical engineering and rehabilitation. In 2019, Dr. Naim was the sole IIUM researcher awarded the TRGS, which is entitled Emotion Regulated Training for Underprivileged Autistic Spectrum Disorder Children using Adaptive Robotics Platform. Please give both Prof. Ratna and Dr. Shahrul Naim applause. So we welcome to everyone. We shall start our session now. I would like to make a sharing. Now I'm going to share the presentation, the slides, or give it to you. Do you know how to share it?
Nanti ask you share. You keep it first.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, thank you so much, Aida. She's such a nice MC. And it sounds so formal that it's supposed to be. So actually, it's supposed to be a very relaxed meeting. And I even have my coffee here. Coffee here. You should be having a coffee. Are there? Dr. Murli is also having a coffee there. So this is actually a very, very informal session. Basically, Dr. Naim and myself, from the bottom of our hearts, we want to share this so that in the hopes that our colleagues will benefit from our experience and what we've gone through. And our aim is to actually help our colleagues to give their best. And although we know that you are already capable of doing that. So I'll be, Dr. Naim, if you permit, I kena minta permission dari Dr. Naim dulu. So macam ni, I had to tell our colleagues that suddenly last night we had been informed of a meeting at 10 by my boss and maybe also your boss, Prof. Hafiz, of a meeting at 10. So I will be here until just before 10. And then Dr. Naim will continue to be with us on this. So that is my qualification for today's informal session. So this is an informal session, and first, what I would like to share is that the fact that you all have got this is Alhamdulillah. That means, you have been shortlisted. First, congratulations to all of you. Our prayers that this will lead to a successfully acquired grant. Our prayers are with all the researchers here. So the fact that we have been shortlisted is very, very good. It is something that is not an easy thing to be accomplished. The fact that they have shortlisted you and asked you to present means that they see something in your presentation that they consider worth supporting. And it's just that they want to take a look, be clear as to, okay, is something really worth supporting? So I want to be more positive about that. So this is something that we should see as a very positive thing for us, very hopeful. And one of the things that I would like to share is that we need to see this as something where we will actually say we have the opportunity to do this, and that is to convince them that the project should be supported, and that is our aim when we are presenting. The aim is not just to present, the aim is to show them why we have to be supported. So that is our aim, not to present, because they just want, they want to see, they want to make sure that, okay, let me see whether we should support this project. So we need to be able to wow them in terms of our ability to deliver, as well as in terms of our worthiness of our project. So this is the reason for that presentation. It's a lot depends on that. So this is where we'd like to share also some maybe some of tips, if you will, or some of our experience in undergoing it ourselves. So for me, when I first got my this email that you all have received as well, I felt happy at the opportunity, and immediately at least for me in my mind, I said to myself that I need to show them that they need to support the project. So the first thing that we need to do is, okay, one of the things I would like to share with you is this. You all have received a template, I think. They just sent it last night. at midnight. I got it at midnight, and so we sent it. Ida sent it to you this morning. So that is a template that they have asked you to fill in terms of your presentation. I do want to give a suggestion regarding that template, and that is yes, there is a template that you are supposed to fill in. Ida, nanti kita nak share. Okay. There is a template that you are supposed to fill in. But it does when you present, it doesn't have to necessarily be
you can just continue talking
directly based on the template. I did that. You go to
they're still there. They see you, but you just can't see them. You just continue talking. Sebab I kena ambil the template.
Kat sini. Kat sini.
Kadang you cannot sign out.
Oh. So macam ni?
You just add account.
Alah, sorry.
Are we out now?
Yeah. Yes. Sorry. We have a problem because I tak download yang Prof jadi tercakap tu. Tapi they have it in their what is this?
Itu ada kan?
Kejap. Tak, bukan tu coordination meeting.
Tak, TRGS. Sorry, dah juga.
Jangan one more. R M C at 2017. It is still ongoing. Yeah, okay, sorry.
Are we now?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, sorry for the technical glitch. Technology is good, but when it fails on us, it can be quite difficult. Ada, bukan pun kita ada dalam hak itu.
Ada, tapi your presentation saja.
Yalah, presentation juga dia. Yeah,
okay. Because I thought you wanted tadi tu tak later lah ya. Saya.
Okay, so they've given you a template, and let us share.
Let's share the.
Yes. You go to the Zoom tadi.
Ya. Tak sampai Allah. Share screen. Kita share screen sekejap.
Dia TRGS.
Share.
Yeah.
Is it share? Yeah, they're showing this.
Okay. You might be seeing slides here.
You can tell me next slide.
Basically, they have asked you, or you will see the template that they have asked you to prepare, and when we send the template to them, of course we have to follow what it is that they have asked us to include. However, during the presentation, I would suggest that you inform them that the template is as attached, and they will have your slides. The slides are as you have in your file. However, for purposes of in the interest of time, may I be permitted to present the highlights of the project? So this is where it allows you to not have to go through each and every slide that is requested in the template. That's what I did anyway. And because what happens is that if we go through each and every slide, it will take quite a bit of time. And if we start doing that, they will say, okay, can you jump to this one? And so on. All right, so basically my what I'd like to share is that focus on an effective presentation. In your minds, what are the things in the slides that they already know from what they have in the folder? Sabina, yes, you go to the next one. So you can start. Of course, it's a good idea to put your colleagues' photos if you want. So, for example, they have this projects and head of projects. So they already have this. So even if you don't say it out loud during the presentation, it doesn't matter. Or you can just say quickly, okay, I'm Dr. Naeem, I'm the program leader, and my other members are Dr. This, and Dr. This. Quickly go to the next slide because we do not want to spend too much time on something that they already have. So if you want to go next slide. Next one, for example, they want to know the budget. Okay, of course, at that time, they'll follow this one. At that time, it was until 3 million or something. So at that time, it was 1,200,000. And I'll tell you the story about this later on. So this is what we proposed at the time. Next one. Okay. So these are the expected outputs that we proposed. Next. Sometimes you can just go very quickly through this, but to me, and there are okay, major objectives. Yep. Okay, so major objectives. Okay, something like this. They already have it with them in the slides. So what is good is that what are the major objectives of your research program? You can actually put it as the objectives, and which of those objectives are settled by which of the clusters. So for my project or program, we stated each major objective of the program as being the major objective of the different clusters. So this is something that you don't even have to go through very much, just very brief, breeze through it. Okay, the most important thing is, I think this one is not in the template, but it's something that I added. So the aim is actually to tell them, hey, hi national evaluators, we really need to carry out this project, and why do we need to carry out this project? So I chose to start my my presentation by giving case studies because my aim was to trigger at the heartstrings. That means, and this is a project involving children. I think Dr. Naeem's project is also like that, Dr. Naeem?
Yes.
So we want, I wanted to impress upon them, we need to help our children. We need to help children with learning disabilities who are often seen by the teachers as being slow and stupid, for example. All right. So this is a case study, which is true, from the Dyslexia Malaysia organization, where a girl said, my favorite dream is to bomb my school. Right? Why does a child feel that? A child feels that because of the kind of treatment that she has been receiving in school. So again, it's about in a sense a shock factor to get their attention, and we need to impress upon them, hey, you need to fund my research. And then next is a case study where it was orally presented, and then stating that children with learning disabilities are the silent victims of neglect, and so on and so on. So here, what I'm trying to say is that the focus of our presentation should be on quote-unquote pitching for our project or selling our project, or telling them we really need to support a project. So the kinds of things that we present need to show them that. So these are about children with learning disabilities who are the silent victims of neglect and injustice. Because people tend to think children with learning disabilities who cannot really, which is actually neurologically affected, they think that the students are lazy or stupid. And then I started by also giving data or statistics, if you will, just to drive home the fact that a large percentage of children with learning disabilities, such as dyslexics, experience certain kinds of things in school. So these are some they say bullied by my friends, and so on and so on. I can share this with you, and I think Dr. Naeem pun boleh share, Dr. Naeem, your slide presentation. So we will share our slide presentation, and then for example, what research has shown students with learning disabilities are likely to experience increased levels of anxiety, likely to have a lower self-concept, greater risk for emotional or psychological problems, greater risk for juvenile delinquency if the situation is prolonged. In fact, I gave them one true example where after giving them, I saw that the evaluators seemed to be moved. And the example that I gave them was this. I said that there was a situation where the mother of the dyslexic child went to school, talked to the teacher, and said that my child may have some problems catching up and also understanding. He may not be as quick to learn as his classmates. So I just wanted to tell Cikgu that, for example. And the teacher said, Juan, if other kids can do it, why can't yours? All right, so this is coming from a teacher, and that was a true incident. And after having said that, somehow, I mean, from the expressions of the evaluators, I saw that they seemed to be moved. So I mean, whatever it is that we're doing, of course, we shouldn't go through theatrics. But relevant examples. All your projects will be different in nature. I think only this year, Dr. Arifin is also doing this thing about learning disabilities. Some of you are doing something else. So the impact factor of your presentation, you need to show why for your project, you need to support it, but you will be doing it in different ways. But we need to do it to show them why it needs to be presented, it needs to be supported. So this executive summary that comes from partially taken from the proposal. So they need to see why, what is the problem, and so this is, I chose to list it as bullet points, and this is the logical presentation as I wanted to show. And the last thing is that I want to provide the early identification to offset or mitigate the negative effects as these children are capable of learning. And then, so it's important to conduct the study. So they need to see why we need to do it, because Malaysia is committed towards inclusive education and so on and so on. There is a need to provide for this thing called differentiated instruction and so on and so on. All right, and so this then leads to what the other projects are also doing. Okay, so this is basically a executive summary. The problem to be solved. It is also crucial for you to show how it is interconnected. So the connectivity, as you will. So how is this problem solved by this cluster and this cluster and this cluster? So here I put it as, and if you notice the how and the how, just to kind of like make them, okay, this is a fundamental thing. Dr. Naim, if you look for the hows and the whys, so for me as a researcher, I wanted them to see the how. Okay, how is one indication of the fundamental element of a project. So I wanted to catch Dr. Naim, because Dr. Naim is a very, very good resource person here, because he's a national evaluator. But what we wanted to show, what I wanted to show, is that this is fundamental in nature, and what is presented here shows a problem. And this is actually the question: how could we provide for early identification? How could teachers provide differentiated instruction, and so on? So, and then you can show how, from the problem to be solved, which is just now the problem to be solved, how the research projects are solving it. So this one is solved by psychology and ICT cluster, for example, and the next one is solved by education, for example. So that comes from the major objectives of the project. So the major objectives of the project have to also be related to the problem to be solved. It looks like a simple thing, but actually we need to make that connection. Okay, and this is where we also showed our connectivity slide, where, you know, psychology does this, ICT does this, leading to this. Education does this, leading to this proposed framework. So they need to see how the different clusters contribute towards this thing that we want to produce, proposed framework for differentiated instruction, and then validation and also validated framework. So something like that. I think you all have already got your connectivity slide. So this is a very important slide to show. So summary, you need to summarize, because everything that we present has to have a summary, has to have a conclusion. This is our last, not attempt, but, you know, this is where we want to consolidate what we have said, to summarize and to make them remember and understand why it is that we're here. So among the things that you can put is are the things that you want to say for them to be able to listen again. So again, you know, if undetected or detected late learning difficulties will lead to negative effects on children's self-esteem, self-confidence, and motivation to learn, increases the risk for emotional and psychological problems. They can develop secondary symptoms such as operational defiant disorder, and if allowed to continue, the greater risk of frustration, hopelessness, juvenile delinquency, and even crime. We need to show the effects of why something needs to be done, and if not, what happens. So, so again, you know, why do we have to do this? For the government to implement policies, teachers will have to be ready, and so on and so on, and so on and so on. This is how I wanted to end it. There is an urgent need to conduct the study. It is very important. Urgent need to conduct the study, to provide for early identification of learning difficulties, and to provide a framework to help teachers differentiate instruction. Given the fact that by 2025, 75% of all Malaysian children with special needs are to be enrolled in inclusive education program. So again, we need to carry out the project. I mean, again, the need. I wanted to emphasize, we need to carry out the project. Prevalence of learning disabilities, autism, 1 every 68, more or less, dyslexia, 1 in 25, ADHD, 1 in 25, and how many students in Malaysia are estimated to be affected by this. And of course, your projects will be different, but you know, basically we're trying to show why, how it will benefit the society and nation. Your templates will be a bit different, but I believe, Dr. Naim can correct me if I'm wrong, what you will send to them has to include what they ask for. But for me, I took, I actually added a little bit more than what they asked during the presentation or for the presentation, because I wanted to make a point. Alright, so Dr. Naim, kalau benda tu tak patut, you cakap mana tahu researchers ataupun the team may not want to, but to me it has to be a very effective presentation. Our focus is on that. So overcoming learning disabilities, people who have had that, Einstein, this swimmer, and our Virgin Atlantic CEO, and then again our children, our future. Make them think about the children, make them think about what it is. And then they did ask about the track record, so we talk about them. They may not ask about that actually, and so on, right? Something like that. So thank you. So basically, just sharing with that, Dr. Naim's presentation will be shared with you as well. So basically, this is where I'm coming from. We have and we have to own it. We have to own it. The presentation will be made by the program leader. Okay, so all the program leaders here will have to present, and they want to see that you know your stuff. We need to know our stuff. We need to know each and every line, each and every comma, each and every alphabet. Okay, maybe not each and every alphabet, Dr. Naim, but what we're trying to say is they want to know if you know. So by the time we present, we have to really, really know what it is that what a project is all about. We have to think about a project. We have to ask ourselves questions about the project that they could ask us, and we need to be able to answer those questions. So we have macam Viva lah, right? We have our PhD students Viva and so on. We have had our own Vivas. When we have a Viva, we anticipate questions that might come. We anticipate maybe difficult questions. So if they ask me this, what would I say? So as with every high stakes presentation, in fact, as with any presentation, we have to know what it is that we're presenting, and we need to be prepared with that. So they expect the program leader to be presenting, and they expect the program leader to know. So all program leaders need to really study. So because these are not an assembly of projects. It is not an assembly of projects. This is a project or a program where all the projects work together to solve one problem. So the program leader has to own that presentation. So I think there's still a lot of time, and I believe all our colleagues here are well prepared, inshallah. We can take a bit more time to fine tune our presentation and preparedness. So I think this is what I would like to share. However, my message to project leaders also is that you also have to know your stuff, and that is for very, very maybe detailed questions which require a more detailed explanation. Because, for example, if Dr. Naim is from mechatronics, he may not be that well conversant with some of the educational aspects, right? So when there are very, very, but he has to be, he and our program leaders will have to be conversant with at least the overall and major picture of the project. But some detailed explanations, the project leaders should be prepared to answer if need be. So, for example, if Dr. Naim says, on this very specific note, I would like to, this is for question and answer lah. I don't know, have you done that, Dr. Naim? Ada tak tanya? We can, I think, if there are specific questions. And during the time when I was presenting, they even asked questions of some of the project leaders. There was one project leader that they had asked a question of. So be prepared to answer questions as well. So project leaders must be equally conversant, because although project leaders are not presenting, and for those project leaders who are not here, we hope that our program leaders will inform them of the need to also be well prepared. So there is a need to be able to answer the questions, because for my project presentation, they wanted to know more clearly about another project where they asked directly that question to the project leader of that project. Right? So please be prepared for that in case they ask specific questions. I think with that, I'd like to just say that this is what I'd like to share. My prayers and for all our program and project leaders here, and for all the projects, we pray for the success of your projects. Your success is our success, and we are proud of all of you for having been actually selected to present your projects. Right? So maybe if you have questions, Dr. Naim also please add, Dr. Naim. And Dr. Naim, you had, during your presentation, there were also some certain things. I think, yeah, Dr. Naim, that you may wish to share one thing about Dr. Naim's project yang I remember, because I try to support our projects by being there, if I can be there. So kadang-kadang kita boleh whisper, we can add the support as well. I mean, as an RMC director, at the end sometimes I do add a few things, that kind of thing. And I think Dr. Naim, yours was a very clearly presented project, but they did ask you something about your budget. So budget is also another thing that you need to be able to defend. So Dr. Naim, among the questions that I remember was your budget.
Yeah.
So anyway, Dr. Naim, please chip in. Yeah.
Okay. Aida, I want to share my screen, yeah?
We are going to stop sharing now. I got to take this from Prof right now.
colleagues, I'm going to look at the presentation nanti, Dr. Naim, because I would like to actually be here, to also be here in this sharing session. But now I have to leave for a meeting with Prof Hafiz. So please do excuse me, and but we do have the recording, and I would like to also be part of the family of sharing and listen to Dr. Naim. So you're in good hands. Dr. Naim is a national evaluator, having circuit so many projects. Dr. Naim, many projects, a lot too, and then TRGS project as well. So you are in very, very good hands. I leave you in the hands of my one of my most respected colleagues, Dr. Naim, and I know that he will be able to contribute a lot. And his will be a more current thing, because many things may have changed after our time, but given the fact it's national evaluator, he's more up to date on what are the current needs and so on. So thank you very much, Dr. Naim, and please see you later.
Thank you, Professor Ratna.
Thank you very much, Prof. Ratna.
Thank you.
I think much have been said by Prof. Ratna until I don't know what to cover anymore.
Thanks so much.
Let's see what I can help and contribute, inshallah.
Just pass that to Sister Fuzia.
Thank you, Prof.
Fuzia can watch for you. Letak dekat meja dia.
Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, we can see very clearly. Workshop presenting winning proposal.
Alright. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. I want this session to be more informal. I am expecting a dialogue rather than monologue. So I hope if you don't mind to turn on your webcam and mic so that we can have a more effective engagement, communication, so that we can serve the purpose of this workshop, that is to get you prepared for your presentation. Yeah. So before I start, my congratulations to all of you. You have reached, I think, 3/4 of the TRGS journey. If I can wrap up what have you gone through before you have prepared a concept paper, and then from the concept paper, I think 9 of the proposal from LIA have been selected for the full proposal, and from the 9, only I was informed that only 3 were has reached this stage. So it's a feat. It's more than last time. It's only 2 projects that has reached this level, but this time around there are 3. So I hope all 3 can be successful till the end, inshallah. All right, so this session from my side is more to complement what Prof. Ratna has mentioned. That is, the objective of the presentation is more to capturing the heart and mind of the evaluator, so that they can grant you the financial budget that you have proposed for your project. That is the ultimate goal, that is to secure the financial budget, right? I would like to use 2 hats for this presentation, that is as the head of program, as well as the evaluators. What kind of expectation the evaluator might have from the presentation of your presentation, inshallah. Okay. If anybody want to chip in, we just can chip in, no problem. So this is the first round of the 2-round for oral presentation for TRGS. Yeah, and for this first round presentation, the difference is the panel. So the panel for this round of presentation will be from the research cluster. So in my case, last time, my research focus area is education. So all the panel for this round during my time were from education. So when I look at your research area, I think quite a number, all the 3 got distinct research cluster. Dr. Sinira, lead by Dr. Sinira is on health, and then Dr. Arifin is education and knowledge, civil society, and the last one is food safety and security by Dr. Sahila. So these are the 3 clusters where the panel will come from. So you might want to expect the nuance of the engagement with the evaluator is more towards the research cluster panelists. Yeah? So because of that, I would strongly encourage the whole team members to attend the presentation. Of course, the head of the program head, the program leader and the project leader must come. But during my time, I bring along the second person. So we are all 7 or 8 in that room to defend our proposal. So in this case, especially those who is closely related to the research cluster should come, because the program leader might not come from the research cluster. So the project that is closely related to the focus area or the research cluster should attend, and in case if there is any question specific to the research field, where the program leader might not have the strong knowledge on it. All right, and other than that, from the evaluator point of view, on top of the full attendance from the applicant side, you must be on time. Make sure you come on time, because there will be other project presenting on that day. So you don't want to interfere with the schedule, the original schedule that KPT has made. All right. For this presentation, first round, I think you were given 10 minutes. 10 minutes to present. And for the final round, last time they gave me only 3 minutes, and that was last minute information. So I have to prepare my presentation during the specific time. You have to make the presentation within this time frame. The shorter, the better. The shorter, the better. But of course, when you want to make it short, you must have included all the important points that you should include. So let's say, for example, if the time given 10 minutes, maybe you can set your during your practice of presenting, maybe 9 minutes. I think that is a rule of thumb. If the time allocated is 10 minutes, we just deduct 1 minute in case if you want to prepare your presentation, like for example, moving from a slide to another slide, that takes some time. So you have to consider all those technical things. So presentation must be within the time allocated. And this presentation, I would say this is like a pitching process, as I told you earlier, to pitch the financial budget. And to make a good pitch, you must turn it into your presentation into a storytelling. So meaning that you are not going to read all the slides, rather you will summarize each slide using using a sensible and interesting narration. So this has to be strategized, and this of course can be prepared, or in case if you want to memorize, go ahead, because this is just 10-minute presentation that you have to make the impact. So no during the presentation, make it smooth. All right, and my slide that I'm showing you is following the format given to me last time. And when I compare to this time around, there is only one additional slide that you have to add in. So they have given the template of the presentation, and if you look at the number of them as a template, the size of the template is more than 10 slides. So if you have that 10-minute time to present, so you can imagine that one slide will take less than 1 minute. So that's why I'm telling you, time is of essence here. It's fly very quickly, especially when you are in the mode of presenting. So make sure you use your time wisely. And the slide basically is just to guide you as to tell a story. So you should be laser focused in presenting your points for every slide. Don't go too much astray from the context of the slide, because of the time just now I'm telling you. So to make it laser focused, so you can use, like highlighting or underlining, or use different color of point that you want to impress on that particular slide. And when it comes to this thing, I would also want you to relate to the comments given in your last round of final proposal preparation, because you have received, of course, the comments from the evaluator as well. So please look at the comments, and you might not need to address all the comments on this presentation, but those which you think worth to be highlighted, you can highlight it within the context of the templates. All right, so that is the first introduction kind of thing, and then you go to the executive summary. In the executive summary is where you can mention about your expected final product as soon possible. Because now when you want to make a presentation, rather than make the presentation from A to Z, I would like if I'm an evaluator, I want the presenter to, as soon as possible, explain to me what the project is meant for, what is the proposal is meant for, what is the product that you want to develop. So as soon or as earlier you think you can explain this, that is better. So you want to explain the product not to the very detail, but at least some idea about the product that you want to develop as soon. I think that is a good idea. So to me, I explain about the product at this during presenting this particular slide, executive summary, which is still, I think, number 2 or 3 in the order of the template, slide template that you need to prepare. Yeah, because basically the evaluator has already gone through your proposal, so you don't need to read out everything or spell out everything. You just need to pull out what is important as part of the point that you want to tell the evaluator. And then after that is the template on the background, the literature review, and overall problem statement. I kind of embedded the literature review on the sentence that I made on the slide by putting a kind of, citation. So there is no particular slide on the literature review, because I feel that if I am doing that, just waste of my time and also the evaluator time. They are not interested in going through all the literature review. Rather, you can just mention the important papers or important research that you were referring to when developing the proposal. Okay, and then for this slide, I have presented the overall problem statement, because subsequently you have 4 other projects that you want to present, and for every project they have their own problem statement. the fifth thing that I want to stress here, or maybe you can think about, is to explain what is unique about your product. Because you have mentioned about your product earlier on. Now you want to sell the product. So when you want to sell the product, you have to explain what is special about the product. And the best way for you to present is to relate it to gap analysis. So gap analysis is a slide of the template that you need to prepare as well, because from the gap analysis, you can mention about what is the thing that you propose to fill the gap. And that is the unique thing about your research or about your project, about your product. So the way I present, I don't feel satisfied with the way I presented this in my slide presentation. You might have a better or creative way to present that. But I think this is among the more important thing that the evaluator want to see about the product that you want to develop or the service that you want to develop at the end of the day. So for every project, I have kind of a summary and also the problem statement. And then the next template is on the objective. I just, this slide go very quickly. Okay, and then come to project description. So the sixth thing that the evaluator or maybe an effective pitching should have is to explain to your evaluator about who's your target audience. So you have the product and where you want to sell the product to, who are going to use the product, right? So in this case, I relate it to the methodology. My methodology is having this section on who's the stakeholders, who's the subject audience, and in my case, the autistic children. So I have to spell this out. So in this table, basically, you have many things, but you don't have to explain all. For me, the most important is on the children. It's on your stakeholders. It's on your subject. So again, you don't have to spend a lot of time in this slide. All right, and then a brief methodology under program description. This is also one of the templates that you need to do. You prepare, and also the data sharing. You can just copy paste the diagram that you have prepared during your full proposal preparation and paste it here. And since it is a diagram, you have to explain. So I think this is a good slide that you can spend some time on to relate the connection between all the projects. And then procedure, you don't want to read all this, but in case if they want detail, then you can go back to this slide. Or if you have any way to make it short, so you can make it short. But don't read, because it just spend a lot of time in reading procedure, which is not that important. And I also include Gantt chart, though it is not asked, but I just put it so that I can relate it to the procedure. All right, and this is another slide that you have to put. What is this slide all about? It is expected research output, but among them all, what is most important is the impact. So you have to explain the impact of the research, because the impact basically is a long-term output from your project. Since this is beyond, then you can just say whatever you want to say. You just mention something that is impactful. That is the idea. How can you make your impact statement different than others? If the impact is about policy at the government level, then maybe you need to have some idea on how a policy is made. I mean, a systematic way to develop a policy. So this kind of knowledge might help you when you are explaining about impact. So it depends on your project. Please think about the impact, and then please support the process of generating the impact with relevant knowledge, so that when come to explain, and then you can your explanation will make sense. All right. And then also under expected research output is the detail of publication and human talent, intellectual properties. During this time, I included patent, but eventually I take it out because they don't cover patent, but it's okay. Yes, this is one slide, additional slide that I saw from the template yesterday, the university commitment. I don't have this in my last presentation, but what they expect here is more to, if the university can commit some financial support, that is the best. But in most cases, no. But what you can write here, perhaps the facilities and the human resource that can be useful for you to run your project or your research. You have to spell it here as well. Facilities, equipment, service, So please spell it out here. Okay. All right. And then the detailed budget. This is how I prepare my detailed budget. I split it into two parts. That is the current expenditure and capital expenditure. It's not necessary, but just to make it more specific how the budget will be spent on what type of expenditure. And then this is the connectivity diagram. See here, what is important or what is expected is how eventually the stakeholder can leverage or can be benefited from your project. So there must be a statement about this, about how the stakeholder can be benefited from the project. It's up to your creativity again. And basically you have prepared this also in your full proposal. And since I mentioned about the stakeholder, I also made, this is additional, I also include the collaborator. If you have LOI or MOU, you can put it here. I think this can also support your how the stakeholder can be or can benefit from the project. And then the strength of the research team, it's up to you on how you want to present it. Basically, this is not that important. But since they ask for it, you just need to prepare, because all the people in your team basically are also already an expert in the respective field. So that is already a strength to your team. All right. So on top of that, when you present, make sure you own it, like what Prof. Ratna was mentioning. It's not only to capture the mind, the heart of the evaluator, but also the mind of the evaluator. Be enthusiastic. Don't just storytelling in the monotonous tone. So make it interesting, like storytelling. Imagine that you tell a story to your kids, so you can you can imagine about it. So, but you have to prepare. Dress smart. This is very important. I think this is kind of how should I, unconscious evaluation that evaluator did when assessing a presentation. So if you come, especially when you come in teams, last time I think I did mention about this when I presenting the TRGS in the TRGS workshop previously. What I did was I asked my team member to wear a button. So since my this might look petty, but basically I feel that this can make your team stand out from others. So make sure you have something unique to be worn by your team members. Dress smart, so that as I told you, can create good impression toward the presentation. Because now because everybody is having a good project, you need to be stand out from the rest. So you need to be the best out from the best. The program head, please practice. I last time even write down my narration, and to much of my ability try to memorize it as well, because of, again, the time constant that were given to you. You don't have that luxury. So please make sure you practice your teaching. Yes?
20 minutes saja. Kena cepat, concise.
And then anticipate question. So to those of you who received many questions from the last round of evaluation, be good about it. It is not something that is to criticize or comment on your work, but take it as a positive thing where the question posted earlier in the comment section actually is the anticipate question where you can prepare the answer rather than receive no comment. You don't know what kind of question that they will ask, right? So you can anticipate question from the list of comment that you have received. I think the program leader can share all the comments to all the project leader, so that everybody will have some idea about each other's project and what is expected from each other project as well. And so as Prof. Ratna mentioned about opening with a very strong statement, I would also encourage you to wrap up your presentation with the word of wisdom. So think about something that is, that is good to hear, in your presentation, just to conclude. And with that, I end my presentation. So anything that you want to add, I mean, we can share. This is knowledge sharing. If you have a better idea in doing pitching, please mention it here so everybody can benefit from it, inshallah. So if you have any question?
Opportunity to ask questions because
Dr. Naim, Dr. Naim.
Yeah, Dr. Rifai.
Okay, looking at the slide prepared, it will take more than 30 minutes actually.
Yeah, that's why.
Yes.
So you can imagine in my final round last time, the time is even shorter. And in the final round, you have additional slide where you have to incorporate the comments even during this presentation and how you want to address the comments. So it has more slides. So, but when you tell a story, you don't have to read. And then you can make the dynamic of the presentation faster as well. So slides are important. You don't want to dwell with it too long, but because they ask you to prepare, I mean, just for the sake of preparation, you put it into your slide.
Because I saw the same thing repeated. For example, it was stated in executive summary and repeated again in the research objective or something like that. So it's the content is the same when we need to repeat again and again.
I don't know. That is how they. That is why if you think it has been mentioned, then you don't have to mention it again, because from the evaluator side as well, they don't like to hear something that is repeated. So use your consign. Imagine that you are in the evaluator's shoes, hearing you. But the point that I mentioned is among the important point that you can impress the evaluator, and that is kind of issues or point that the evaluator want to hear when you are pitching for something.
Assalamualaikum, Dr. Naim.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah.
Actually, if you look at the schedule, they give us like duration of time macam 3 to 4 like this, for example. So, and we've been advised macam presentation tu about 10 minutes saja kan?
Presentation is 10 minutes dalam format, dalam description tu, yeah.
10 minutes. So, when you present this long presentation, did you manage to finish in 10 minutes ke dia over the time sikit tu macam mana? Oh, is it how does it goes?
Biasanya dia orang ada loceng. They have bell. They will ring the bell maybe before the last minute to remind us to, it's time to stop. So you have to wrap up as soon as possible. But that is why again, Prof, you have to practice. I think you really have to practice your pitching. It has to be, as I told you, the shorter the better. You don't have to cover all the content in the slide. As what Prof. Arifin just mentioned, quite a number is repeated. Like for example, objective or problem statement, you repeat them again. So you don't have to mention about it more than once. So focus on point that is very, very important that you think the assessor want to know. And with that note, you can also assume that the assessor or the evaluator has read the proposal. So they kind of having some idea about the proposal already.
Thank you.
Yeah. No problem.
Assalamualaikum, Prof.
Hello, Prof. Nazira.
Thank you for the presentation. It was very clear. I would like to ask about because Prof. Ratna asked you, mentioned about your presentation in which the budget was asked.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. So I would like to ask on how you answered the question, how you justified that you need that budget.
Yes. I mean, during that time, I kind of prepared that question. At that time, I have two ways to respond. It's either go with the flow, meaning that maybe you want to respond, we try to accommodate whatever budget that you propose. Instead of going to that way, I insist that I want that budget. So it's kind of, I don't know, from the evaluator side, might not be good. This is a risk that I took last time. But when I mentioned about, I insist to have that amount of money, I have backup with all the, the quotation. So the evidence has to be there. So I think if you have evidence and if it is sensible, they got no way to reduce. Even after at one instant, I met again with the assessor at another event. So he told me personally that I should not say that. but to me, why not? Because like if you don't have this amount of money, then you cannot proceed. So you have to fight for it. I mean, that is the decision that they want to make. If they think that your project is not worth it, I think that they have made a very wrong decision because you have reached this far. So maybe they are trying to test you. I don't know their intention. But be firm on your presentation, especially on the financial proposal, and be also prepared with the evidence. Make sure your proposal sounds meticulous. Meticulous means that if you talk about a system, you go into the component of the system, go another level as a detail. Yeah.
I remember during the presentation, Dr. Naim's presentation, his budget, for one item, from one very, very important item, many zeros were missing. Yeah, betul tak? Many zeros missing. Yeah, so he had to explain, justify.
Yeah. This happened in the second presentation because they sliced the budget. During first round presentation, the question on budget is not that they don't really scrutinize. But in the second presentation, basically the evaluator will trust the panel from the first presentation. So from this round, if the panel cut the budget off some, then you have to defend. In my case, original application is 800K something. After first presentation, they cut it down to 600K. So that is what make me, not very happy during the final presentation. And there is again this issue. I insist. But for this round of presentation, I don't think there's not much of question on budget. I don't know. Maybe they will ask, but I'm not, because my time last time, the panel again is from the educators, so they might have different focus. But now, some in health, for example, all the evaluator now are maybe doctors, so they might want to be. You want to ask more specific, more rational justification from. I don't know. you know your project better, so just get prepared lah. Discuss among the team members. I mean, have all of you got your own, communication grouping, WhatsApp, what not, email group or something like that? At this point, I think the program leader has to be responsible to coordinate the communication. Make sure you have all the team members to be on the same wavelength. But more important is the project leader, of course. You have 3 or 4 project leaders, so make sure they are in the same wavelength. Yeah, and you have 7 days to prepare your presentation, so it's kind of short as well. So engagement within the team members is crucial at this time. My experience, I really hope support from my project leader, and that is the sentiment that the program leader have. You want support from the project leader. So please, project leader, support your program leader to prepare this presentation. And make sure it's on time as well. Don't wait until last minute, and then the program leader will have a headache because you need to prepare for the presentation. Yeah? He's the one responsible anyway.
So, Dr. Naim?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you know whether the panelists will be the similar person who assess the full proposal?
Some of them maybe, especially those from the same research focus area. Research focus, because you see, the research proposal come from different cluster, right? So they will give the different cluster panel to evaluate. But come first presentation, first round, the panel are all from the research cluster. That research cluster that you tag to your project. So I see, like, for example, Dr. Sinira is health, and I just mentioned about Dr. Arifin and Dr. Sailas. Yours is more on the...
Security.
Yeah, so do you know anybody from that? Kejap. Education, perhaps boleh tanya Prof. Nick. Prof. Nick is one of the panel for the RGS. Nick Hisham. Food safety, security. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe don't have any panel from this cluster. From UIA, If you know.
Yeah, true. Okay. So because I was asking that question because should we look at the comment in the full proposal and elaborate on that as well during the presentation?
If you have time, but I doubt you don't have time. But you have to address all the comments in the migrant. Those would be on this presentation, but in the next presentation, yes. But you have to make your migrant to complete basically before this presentation. So imagine the program leader now has 2 things to prepare: the presentation as well as the proposal. If you have many comments and more things to prepare.
Exactly.
I've seen Dr. Sinira's comments. I'm a member under Dr. Sinira's team. So many comments, and I think he need to prepare it. He need to put some effort to prepare. It's not just a short comment. Like 4 pages, Dr. Sinira? Maybe Dr. Sinira can share also her experience looking at the comments.
Yeah, there are 4 pages of screenshot of the comments. There are 15 comments that I need to address. And then actually I don't know where to put this comment because it doesn't mention a specific place in the proposal. So do I need to just put anywhere, or I just prepare an appendix and then attach an appendix to the response to the comment, or do I need to put somewhere in the proposal because it's not mentioned any particular place? It's not in the research question, it's not in the executive summary, it's just like general. Yeah. So should I just prepare like another another file and then attach, or what do you think?
I think I would rather agree with you, Dr. Sierra. I think that's a better way to address all the comments rather than, like insert the relevant comment in the proposal where it's very difficult to find eventually from the evaluator side. But of course, I mean, you have also addressed the comments in the full proposal, but just to make a separate for all the comments, the separate document for all the comments. Yeah.
Okay. And then Dr. Naim, I would like to know like the scenario inside the room, like who will be there, and then like what's the scenario, like how long is the Q&A?
Presentation is 10 minutes. I think question and answer another 20 minutes. Maybe the system IDA has this information. But other than the evaluators and us, the presenter, there will be last time Dr. Shamimi, representative from JPT, and I think from RMC as well. My first round of presentation, Prof. Mar was there, and my final round, Prof. Ratna joined us.
Like from their side, how many people from their side?
First round, I think no more than 6. But my last round is full, like full house. Like for every cluster, they have 2 representatives. So like 10, 12, something like that is full. Many people during the final. But the first round presentation, just people from that particular cluster.
And then last time when we had briefing for the full proposal, you were mentioning about policy paper. So what is because I keep this question until now. So what is the procedure for policy paper? Because last time you mentioned about it.
Okay. This is some I think this is some general knowledge that you just you can just prepare. Basically, for policy paper, there are some general steps like you have to conduct a small group discussion and then bigger group discussion, and then select sample kind of thing. They are quite standard. Maybe I can share with you if you want, but I have to find. But there were no question on policymaker at the end of the day. I just prepare because I put policy paper as one of my outcomes.
Okay. Okay. I just want to get more clarification for the panel. There is no one from our own background. Like for example, for me, it's mental health. So there will be no panel from engineering at all, right, at this stage?
Yeah, no. They will be all from health.
Okay, so that means I need to bring a strong support from health people, right?
Yeah, of course. Dr. Nazira is there.
Okay.
Last time, Dr. Nazira, Prof. Ramli joined us. Bring him. I mean, if you have somebody, like when you look at our team, in our team, there were no professor. I mean, 2 assistant and 2 associate. So I think it's worth to bring somebody of that caliber. I told you last time there were 2, during my time, there were 2 proposals got shortlisted to this round. The other one is Prof. Hamza. And Prof. Hamza, he brought along Prof. Kamal Hasan. So you can see the impression that the evaluator has when they look at such person. So that's just a strategy. Maybe if we have, then you can just bring them.
And then I would like to know, can we make any changes in our original proposal? And then if can, how far can we change?
What for example?
For example, let's say we want to have for the time being we have for example for one project, for the time being we propose to have 2 master students, and let's say now we would like to change to 1 PhD, 1 master, and then is that allowable or just have to go along with what we have right now?
I would consider that it's not major, but anyway, for 3 years you cannot have one master and one PhD. It's either 2 master or 1 PhD.
Okay.
If you study 1 master and 1 PhD, I mean, of course, they won't blame you, but eventually they'll ask you to correct. And I think it's also related to your budget as well. So when you want to make, I mean, it's really, you have to make sure you have that right because it will affect your budget.
Okay.
Dr. Naim, do you think this is also a good time if I want to add more group members?
That is I mean, this time they are very rigid. They are very rigid. Even for my project, we try to add a group member. We have signed a letter to JPT since last month. We haven't received any response from them. I mean, it was advised to us to write the letter because we called them. I think RMC called them, but they kind of cannot make decision because maybe Dr. Fauzi, the director, should make the decision. So RMC helped us to draft a letter with a cover note, but they haven't responded. So, but if you insist, you can make justification. You know, like us, our plan is if they don't agree, we will go and menghadap in person. So we try to find any means. So if you really need the person, then you need to find a way to get the person into your group.
Okay, but not during the presentation. Later.
You know, like, okay, all right. Because this time the issue of the team member is very rigid. On my time, there's no limit. So among comments that I received during the full proposal evaluation is to add the expert, autism expert in all the teams. And that is how I address the comment by, I think in 2 of the team, we don't have any autism expert, then we add them. But it's not a problem because the system allowed that to happen. But now, it is technical constraint. It's not you cannot add it, but the migrant itself do not allow you to add more than 6 members, something like that. So you have to go about the migrant punya system dulu to add, then only you can physically add the person.
Okay.
And that has to go through RMC lah. Of course, RMC can talk to the migrant developer, programmer. Ikhlas nama dia.
Yeah, but basically, remember tak, during the time of the concept paper, most of you, there was so much, you all wanted to add a project member, and then lepas tu we had to write to KPT, and then KPT pula have to talk to Ikhlas, you know, there's a lot of things involved actually when you ask to add a project member, especially because they say only when the evaluator asks for it. Then they will show us to show proof. Where is it that the evaluator asks for you to add that member? Macam tu. Yeah? Okay. And then another thing, I tengok sini, your presentation is 10 minutes. Question and answer 30 minutes.
Oh.
Lama, panjang.
You don't want to annoy the evaluator lah. You know, one thing that I experienced when I was evaluator for PRGS is the presentation, the slide presentation. The presenter uses small size, small font. It's very difficult as evaluator to see, and because of that, the project got rejected because we got rejected. So make sure everything, I mean, sensible.
One thing, Dr. Naim, actually for this TRGS 2020, you all, for this presentation, please give all your all, because it doesn't mean you have another presentation. Because if you recall, after the concept paper, there was no presentation or no, we had to evaluate dekat university level. Last year that wasn't done. Last year we had concept paper and they were all called to present. But this year, that one tak ada. So this time when you masuk, you give it your all. You don't think that you're going to have another presentation. There may not be another presentation.
Oh, really?
Yes, dia dah tukar. Because this time around, these people are selected from a list hari tu, and they were not called to present. They were evaluated by our university. Yeah.
Are you saying this year there's only one round of presentation?
Inshallah. They change the format for TRGS and LRGS.
Okay, all right.
It's very difficult for RMC sebab
Sister Aida, I think you need to get a black and white from the JPT. Yeah. Ask whether there will be second presentation.
Okay.
Because if there is none, meaning that the panelists will be from all cluster this time.
Okay, so I will find out. I can just WhatsApp and find out, and I inform you all inside the group. Yeah, nanti maybe I will. Because the team program leaders, we have a WhatsApp group. Ada WhatsApp group ni. So I masukkan the information. Nanti you tell all your team members lah. Yeah. I believe that you should give your all for this one lah.
So guys, if that is the case, maybe I should share you the final presentation slide instead of this one. But of course, in our time last time, our final presentation has additional slide, as I told you earlier.
You see, so I'm not sure. I can WhatsApp her now.
Now, why not you ask them? Apa?
One Nur Ain.
Okay.
Madam Aida Melly, in the official letter from KPT last time that you gave us, there are two presentation in the letter. If you remember, there is a table showing the first when is the first presentation, second presentation, and then it's already tabulated in the table for second presentation is between 1st to 3rd September. If you refer back to the letter that you gave us.
Alright then. So then there should be it lah. But I can still find out lah.
Just make sure.
So wow. So there'll be another round. InsyaAllah nanti I tanya, nanti I inform all of you, okay?
Okay.
Any more question? Any more thing to comment, to add?
Department of Economics. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Naim. I think you mentioned earlier, but I didn't actually catch it. How many of you, when you attended the presentation, I believe that you brought all your team project leaders, right? But overall, and you have 4 project leaders, so there are 5 of you all. So can the project leaders bring additional member to the presentation?
Yeah, I brought 8, including me. Including me, we were 8. For every project, we have the second person.
Okay, all right.
I mean, like when you write a proposal, I mean, in the Micra now, they have this section for the co-researcher, the rule, in case the project leader cannot continue, then you have.
Yes, the next
person. That person should be brought along.
I see. Okay.
I mean, that is the maximum lah, of course. I mean, it depends on the size of the room as well. Last time we squeeze. Inshallah, they can manage. I think you have 4 projects, unless
we have
last one only 3 projects. 3 projects.
I'm under Dr. Suhaila.
Oh, and Dr. Suhaila is 3 projects.
3 projects only. So we can bring more.
Yes, sure, you can bring more.
There's also another question. I also raised this question with Dr. Suhaila earlier because I noticed that we have prepared she prepared the connectivity between these 3 projects, but I also noticed in your presentation that you have also a different chart on the data sharing. You have one for data sharing and one for connectivity. And that's why earlier I have asked Dr. Suhaila whether we do have a data sharing specifically. Can you please reshare on your data sharing where you have all this? That one, right? Okay.
Yeah, because data sharing I think is related to methodology. Because like in methodology, you have to specify at what phase the data has to be passed to others, right? Between the projects. That is how I understand data sharing. But data connectivity is more towards outcome when outcome kind of thing when the project are combined. And also, if you look at the data connectivity, they had as template. They also ask for how the stakeholder can be benefited from the project. So that statement should be there.
I see. Okay. Right. Yes. Yeah, we do have something similar like this in terms of the connectivity.
Yeah.
If I show you the connectivity diagram, can you like comment on it, Dr. Naim?
Sure. Dr. Suhaila, I think the evaluator basically, they don't really read our slide. They will be more listening to our whatever we presenting because to go to some of them might those very OCD type of person, they want to read everything, to know everything. So yeah, some evaluators like that. Some evaluator even will query if we have the correct sample size, because the sample size basically relate to budget as well. If you can reduce, because they try to reduce the budget as much possible, and that kind of mentality will be among the evaluator. Which to me personally, I don't agree lah. Because if you want to do research, do it properly. You should not reduce the budget lah. Inshallah. I think if you, especially for the program leader, this project has been part of you already, right? We have been living with the proposal from from January, February. But this is worth an experience. To me, this is worth an experience. Totally different ball game compared to other grants. It's involved teamwork. Interesting. Enjoy the experience.
Okay.
Pass me the screenshot of the letter. It says pembentangan pertama 11 hingga 13 Ogos. Pembentangan kedua bagi permohonan yang berjaya melepasi pembentangan pertama 1 hingga 3 September. So
they will make announcement by October the result. Inshallah. So by December you guys can start.
Cepat.
1 tahun. Okay. Alright. So any more question? Otherwise, maybe this is a good point to stop. So
if you all have any like you want Dr. Naim to see the creative your diagram or what, you can email him.
Yeah, but I think you are the diagram expert than me. When I prepare this, it's just I think you have better creativity, I suppose. Anyway, before we wrap up the session, I would like to again wish you all the best. I pray for the best as well. We want all the 3 to succeed in the final. During Prof Ratna time, that was the first time UAE got TRGS, and UAE received 4 TRGS project that time. And then year after we got none, and then after that we have Prof Azura, and hopefully this time we can get all 3, inshallah.
Dr. Naim, I have one last question.
Yeah.
Just a general question. Since the panel might not be from our original background, right? So how do you address the situation? For example, if they ask questions that you don't really know, so So what do you do? Like, do you just try to answer or how?
No, I won't. I the thing that I don't know how to answer, I just pass to the project leader.
Okay.
I mean, you don't want to, you don't want to goreng lah. You don't want to goreng them. They are the content expert.
Okay.
Apa ni RMC? Do you plan to look at the final presentation?
Professor Ratna says there should be one. The program leaders have to make presentation before going there lah.
Yeah, I think we should go. Maybe RMC can arrange something.
Yeah, we will arrange that. There'll be a mock presentation, kata dia.
Yes.
She only discussed with me this weekend, so we'll see. We'll make the arrangements.
If I may suggest, nanti kalau jadi you can bring like one officer from IIUM.
From where?
IIUM. They debate. Brother Latif ke? Brother Latif? I don't know.
Oh, tulis relatif.
Brother Latif.
How do you spell?
IIUM.
You can have.
IIUM. IIUM.
IIUM. Okay. You tahu?
I tahu. Atas office ya.
Oh, okay. Alright. So to train on how to present.
Yeah, I mean to give positive input to improve basically, because like once you make a presentation, meaning that you have made the preparation already. It's final preparation almost. So you don't want them to give too many input as well. It's not good. I mean mentally, emotionally, but a small talk and nip here and there, I think it's not a big deal. I mean the researcher or the presenter can take it, can accommodate into the final presentation.
Another thing I noticed that from when I followed all the researchers, memang the connectivity ni very important between your program and your projects. When you buat diagram tu kena clear. They keep asking. They cannot see the connectivity. Then you be in trouble sikit lah. Betul?
Yeah, but basically at this stage they have passed that stage. I mean the evaluator has looked into this, and if there's no comment, there's no comment. If they will comment, then they will put in during last round. So that's why I'm telling you, like some of the slide might not be of interest anymore because they have seen it. So you can just pass very quickly.
So only the important points saja. Dalam 10 minit ni.
There are two things. One is the important point. Another one is to capture the heart and mind. That is beyond the template.
Beyond the template. Okay. So I think we covered everything, kan? Covered everything.
Yeah, I think so. So inshallah, I think maybe I can pass back to Saida.
So we'd like to thank Dr. Shahrul for very, I think it's very beneficial for all of you. I mean, there was a lot that you learned, and you can right now you can visualize how it's going to be. Usually there'll be around 3 to 4 evaluators sitting in front of you and asking the questions. Okay, so we would like to.
Assalamualaikum, Madam Aida.
Yes, Dr. Nora.
From Kuantan. Actually, the presentation is set on the 12th, is it?
Today, we received the schedule today, so we're going to email you the schedules.
Oh,
we received the schedule today. Okay. There are 2 days. Hold on one moment. Okay, like this, let me inform you all. There are 2 days and 3 on the 11th August, 10:30 to 11:30 a.m. Is Dr. Suhaila. Yeah, Dr. Suhaila. Selasa, 11 Ogos. The first one, 10:30. And then 11 Ogos juga 3 to 4 PM pula, petang mental health tu is Dr. Nosinira. So and then 12 Ogos, you have 12 Ogos, 3 to 4, you have Dr. Arifin Mamat. So days lah.
Aida, if possible, RMC to arrange transport for the researcher?
We can try lah, we see, but there are many of them tengok macam mana.
Senang nanti in synchro. I mean, those travel from Kuantan especially, we want everybody is on.
Oh, the ones Kuantan not a problem. I asked the Kuantan campus punya ni lah, sistem Masura actually. But on our side ni, we will try and we will talk to the researchers whether they are okay to go on their own or whether sometimes like Kulliyyah Engineering, you have a very nice car juga there. Maybe you just need a driver. You have that nice big car kan? Tengoklah macam mana kan? We see first. We discuss nanti ya.
I remember when I went for defending our TRGS 3 years ago in Putrajaya. There's so many evaluator in front of us. So we went there with quite a good, but we didn't get it after the presentation. And one of the things that they highlight is actually one of the evaluators said, please make sure that you know your TRGS format, what is the requirement, what is how many PhDs that you have to
the output
produce. Yeah, so they said you must well versed in what is TRGS, what is that's the basic core understanding about this whole project. There is one of the evaluator mentioned.
And then actually, if you see a IIUM evaluator there, there's not much point pun, dia macam there as a presence saja, support je.
Yes. That's one.
Yeah, macam Shahrul kalau ada pun dia zip.
Ada conflict of interest.
Yeah, there is one UIA represent as an evaluator in front of us as well. But that's I think it's not that scary, but the question is sometimes can be unpredictable.
Yes, you have to prepare yourself mentally. Memang kan they ask you questions and you really have to try to answer.
And our team just said that because the project is I'm a psychiatrist, so on the part of the psychiatric part I will answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nora.
A very good input. I mean, of course, you cannot control everything, but you know, like if for the project leader, if you see the program leader tergagap-gagap ke nak jawab, and if you know the answer, you help her or help him.
Kadang-kadang nervous tau, ada yang nervous.
Yeah, sometimes become nervous. Yeah.
We thought that we can psycho them, but eventually they psycho us. Dr. Nazira is under my department, so I hope she will be well. Not planned for delivery yet, Dr. Nazira?
I hope not yet. Inshallah. Please make doa. It's very near though.
Who's your next in line?
Dr. Faiz.
Oh, okay.
Soon ya, delivery.
Yeah, soon.
Okay.
There's some complication. But I hope I can come.
I think for that particular, I mean for you, Dr. Nazira, it's a must. I mean if not you, Dr. Faiz must come.
Must come.
Because we need to have an authority figure to say something related to psychiatrics, psychology and psychiatry.
Inshallah.
Because you know, like if you look into even your comments from the reviewer, if you have a look, I mean, as you asked, I mean, comment is more. I mean, one comment or the commenter basically is in the field. It's from your field, so
true.
Like he knows everybody since even. So meaning that we need to prepare from that angle juga.
We also have Dr. Jamila Hanum, clinical psychologist from Gombak. I will have her to be in hand as well, inshallah.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So we don't have any more questions, yeah? Are you okay, everyone? So please give our facilitator a round of applause. Thank you very much, Dr. Naim. Yeah, so you have been with these researchers from the beginning until this is the third workshop. So, okay, so we have finally come to the end of this TRGS workshop 2020. Once again, I would like to thank all of you for your presence, and we hope you have found this workshop to be beneficial, and we look forward to your research proposal submissions. So we wish you all the best. We shall end this program with reciting the Tasbih Al-Kafarah. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Dr. Naim. Thank you, Madam Aida.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Be in touch,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Stop the recording.